You might be downs, but you're not out of the count. That has to be the way Ohio State fans feel right now after learning that Alabama safety Caleb Downs is not going to Athens, Georgia. He's not even staying in the SEC. He's hitching his wagon to Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, and this potent Buckeyes defense for 2024. What does this mean for Ohio State's secondary? Why is Downs choosing to snub the SEC and head to Big Ten country? And what are our way too early preseason goals for the Buckeyes now headed into the offseason? Let's go ahead and discuss. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel, people. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. Simply because the clock has struck 0 on 2023, it does not mean we're going from 100 to 0 with making content. We got live shows. We got a banner. We're recapping 2023. A mass exodus of players are in the portal right now. Content for days. So if this is the way you need to survive the dreaded offseason of college football, might I suggest you hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me what are your preseason goals for the Buckeyes now going into 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, Ohio State faithful, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to 5,000 subscribers, then 25,000 subscribers, then 100,000 subscribers, and 1 million subscribers is the ultimate goal. I think you know that at some point we will get there, so jump on in while the water's fine. Go ahead and follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson, Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever you call it. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. Okay, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Wow. Just wow. I was driving home. I was getting ready for dinner. I was realizing there was probably not going to be major news that came out, but this is an atom bomb that is shaking up the college football community for a lot of reasons. Ohio State, basically second to none in the race to go land the #1 player in the transfer portal. Arguably the best player you will see in the transfer portal this cycle. They're just the afterthought. Everyone's already pegging that he's going to Georgia. T-Rod's relationship, his relationship with Kirby Smart, all of that aside, you're just sitting here saying the announcement will come and my heartbreak will just be over. And you won. You got him. You got the #1 dude in the transfer portal, on top of what you've already added in via the transfer portal, on top of what's coming back to Columbus for next year. I don't think a lot of people understand what type of talent Caleb Downs is. As a freshman at the University of Alabama, underneath Nick Saban's watch, a guy who understands DBs like the back of his hand and all the wrinkles and sprouts that are protruding, he comes on the field and he's a stud. The second he immediately touches down on campus, he's the best player in that secondary. And he was. In my opinion, he was the best player Alabama had this entire season, offense or defense. Enforcer, difference maker. A guy from the staff texted me. He's a 19-year-old in an all-pro body. And there's a reason he said all-pro and not all-American. They already know this guy's going to be suiting up on Sundays and become an immediate difference maker for his club. He was the enforcer that you wanted. And nobody out there is going to say, hey, we're really good at safety. We don't need a Caleb Downs. Every defense in America could utilize a Caleb Downs, from Lawrence, Kansas to Fargo, North Dakota, all the way up to Columbus, Ohio. You can find a Caleb Downs because you want a Caleb Downs, and you got him. You got him, Ohio State, and that's a huge testament to you. And I think what's really important here, what you can learn from this, is that Caleb Downs is one of those players that's banking on himself. He knows he can have a relationship with Coach T-Rob. He knows that his relationship with Kirby Smart is fine, but you go back and you look at the recruiting process. Caleb Downs was very late going to Ohio State. He appeared last season. I think it was at the game against Michigan. That's when he made his official visit. Already basically committed to Alabama. Very clear it's going to be Bama or Georgia, but he comes. And Ryan Day leaves a lasting imprint on him to where he says, this is the home I'm supposed to be at. I know it's great to be playing for Nick Saban, but this is where I felt most at home. This is where I want to play my college football on Saturdays. And now I get to go ahead and achieve that dream. Big time get for a place like Ohio State. And you know this kid is special because if you go back and you listen to the interview with Reese Davis on ESPN, all you're hearing is the way that it would hurt Nick Saban to tell Caleb Downs he wasn't going to be there anymore. The way he just protrudedly spoke about Downs throughout the season. This is Nick Saban we're talking about. It's not just some willy-nilly coach that eventually finds his way to the podium with the national title attached to his name. This is a guy who has studied defensive backs, played defensive backs, and emulated defensive backs to become a staple at LSU and then over at Alabama. And the fact that Ohio State is landing him, on top of what you're bringing back defensively, at secondary players from Denzel Burke to Latham Racem to Jordan Hancock, all of this talent everywhere that's coming back, you got him. That's just a huge blessing, in my opinion, for a guy like Jim Knowles, who loves utilizing defensive players in a variety of ways, especially when you can utilize them as a blitzer. They run a ton of 3 safety sets. This is a good move if you're Ohio State. This is a move that's a game changer. This is one to where your entire expectations, I think, in my opinion, change. I've already gone on record saying I believe Ohio State entering next season is a top 5 team in college football. They should be the favorites to win the game. They should be the favorites to win the Big Ten. They should be a favorite to win the national title. They really should. That's how good they are. And how much talent's coming back defensively. I already mentioned Denzel Burke, Latham Racem. How about JT Tuimulau? How about Jack Sawyer? How about what you're bringing in with Cody Simon at linebacker, what you have on the defensive line? Not to mention the offensive consistency. Travion Henderson's not going anywhere. 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen are coming back next season. You could be players for Caden Proctor in the portal. Plus, you also added in 2 names that are going to fortify your offense to new heights. You added in Quinshon Judkins, arguably the best running back in college football the last 2 years. You added in Will Howard, a mobile quarterback that emulates a little bit of what you had with Kyle McCord, but potentially a bit more upside in the red zone with the utilization of his legs. This is a team that's hell-bent and very secure of where they stand about winning a national title. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think that they have to at this point. I think that when you look at the talent that's being retained, when you look at the talent that's being added from the transfer portal with Judkins and Howard to even guys like Jeremiah Smith, 5-star talent, Edric Houston, 5-star talent, countless other receivers and running backs and tight ends, find the flaw. It's like literally looking for a needle in a haystack. And if you really want to go even crazier, it's like looking at a piece of hay in a needle stack. You're getting poked and prodded and pitched and proed every single way possible because of that's how lethal this team should be. And on paper, they are. Without question, they are. And I get it. There's going to be someone in the comment section probably making a joke about Bill O'Brien. Ha, ha, ha. We've all heard it before. Guarantee you we're going to hear it throughout the entire offseason. That's the reason why Ryan Day couldn't get to the end goal. The reason why Ryan Day can't get to the end goal is because he's not the right guy anymore. That's got to be the only way you can put this. And I hate talking in absolutes. Ryan Day is a great coach. I know there's a lot of Ohio State fans out there that don't believe Ryan Day is a good coach. Ryan Day, without him, you don't get Quinshon Judkins. You don't get Will Howard. And you don't get Caleb Downs. That's for damn sure. Now when you know what's waiting in Athens, Georgia, right up the road from his home, right up the road from where mom and dad live, right up the road from where all of his friends are, where people could go ahead and see him again on Saturdays like they watched him make highlight play after play on Friday nights. You don't get that without Ryan Day. But with this much talent, with this much horsepower, and no room to gallop, the only person to blame is you. That's what this really comes down to. Ohio State, in my opinion, is now the number 1 team in the country. Ohio State, in my opinion, is the favorite to win the national championship. And they're hell-bent by showing these moves how aggressive they are to realize what's at stake, what they have waiting for them in Columbus, what they know is coming back for Saturdays in the fall. They get that. And now you added in Caleb Downs. That only adds in more pressure. With pressure comes responsibilities. With pressure comes presence. The presence in Ohio State right now is booming. There is no one else in college football who can literally say, you look at this roster top to bottom, you're nitpicking at this point. You are literally nitpicking at where the flaw is. There are none. This is almost about as perfect as a roster as you could ask for going into a quintessential year for college football. A year in an era where we don't know what the future unfolds and what the future looks like. But your future looks bright with Caleb Downs. Your future looks bright with Emeka Egbuka coming back, with Travion Henderson coming back, with Jack Sawyer coming back, with Denzel Burke coming back, with all this talent coming back and all the talent that's coming in. Looks pretty damn bright. In fact, you could say you need to have sunglasses because of your eyes and your corneas are being burned out with how bright the future is. Now you got to capitalize. This is a prove-it year for Ryan Day. With what you've added in, with what's being retained, with what you've been able to preach, now it has to produce. That's the bottom line when it comes to Ohio State. It's an incredible get for Jim Knowles' defense. Every team in America could use a build-a-DB like Caleb Downs. It's like Build-A-Bear, but instead, you don't have to go ahead and try and come up with new designs and whatnot. You just say, hey, we're going to take Caleb Downs, and that's exactly what we're looking for. That's coming to Columbus. You got that guy over Georgia. You got that guy to lead Bama. You got to capitalize. There is no excuses for Ohio State anymore. The last one just went Downs and out of the count with Caleb Downs' commitment. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It. and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.